Good evening, viewers at home. My name remains Adeotola Tunde Michael, and I am here today once again on a different ground, and that is a introduction to ecology. And that is why I have titled today's lecture as Understanding Interactions Between Organisms and Their Environment. Everything that has to do with ecology is the studying of the interrelationship between microorganisms, between organisms, be it micro or macro, and its environment. From this, we can see that this is the sky, and that is where we call biosphere. Biosphere. Bio means life, and sphere means space. That is the space that contains life. So we can see around here that all these organisms, ranging from plants, these animals, and including this bird, they are having a kind of interactions within the environment. So if there is problem with the environment, definitely there's going to be problem with the whole organism, and that's why, as a biologist, as somebody that is just coming up, we need to understand the interaction between organisms and their environment. In this course and in this lecture today, at the end of this session, this topic, students should be able to define very well what ecology is all about. Don't forget that I said ecology is the study of the interrelationship between organism and its environment. So then the students should be able to explain different levels of organization. Apart from that, you should be able to differentiate between biotic and abiotic factors. Bio, that is life. A, that is absence of life. That is, you should be able to differentiate between living organisms in the environment and non-living entity of the environment. So then you should be able to describe different types of ecosystem and their energy flow. You should be able to do that. Then you should be able to appreciate why there must be ecological balance. So if there is no balance in the ecosystem, there's going to be problem. So we are going to see this at the end of this lecture. And just like I said, a very big question is, what is ecology? By definition, ecology is the study of relationship between organisms and the environment. That should be settled. When you define when you define ecology, you are referring to studying of the relationship between organisms and the environment. So, and ecology was derived from the roots of it was derived from Greek word root, which means oikos. Oikos. And this oikos means house, plus logos, which is a study. That is studying of the house where organism lives. Where do they live? So studying of that. So then the scope includes bacteria in the soil, ranging from microorganism to the biggest, that is from bacteria, which is the smallest, micro, to whales in the ocean. So you can see this is a E. coli, the structure of E. coli in the soil, and this is a whale in the sea or in the ocean. So this one is very, very small that you cannot see it with your naked eye, and this one is very, very big that you don't even need any help to be able to see. You need to see it on aided eye. Why studying ecology? That is, why is ecology so important? Number one is that it is going to help us to be able to understand what is called biodiversity. Biodiversity. Bio means life, diversity means different species. So this biodiversity will be able to understand, ranging from birds, monkey, gorilla, and all this one. You'll be able to understand that on organisms that are living on the tree, that are living in the forest, different types. You don't have just, that's why they say a tree cannot make a forest. The same thing. And just a species of animal cannot make the animal kingdom. So manage natural resources. As an ecologist, you should be able to manage our natural resources. And our natural resources include water. How can we manage it? Then you should be able to solve environmental issues. And that's why you can see action, climate action. No other planet apart from this our planet. So the best thing is to save our planet. Then you should be able to promote sustainability, not only making the environment to be uh, pollutant free. So you should be able to make sure that the environment is so safe to the level that it is going to support life. Now, what are the branches of ecology? Branches of ecology. The first branch of ecology is individual species, which is called horticology. That is the study of individual species. The second one is syncology. That is when you have groups of individuals, groups of organisms. So that is another branch, syncology. Another one is a population ecology. That is, you are talking of population dynamics, different types of population, population of tree, population of animals in the forest, and so on and so forth. Then community ecology, that's another scope which has to do with species interactions. Then the next one is ecosystem ecology, which is dealing with the flow of energy and how nutrients are being recycled. We are going to see this. And what are the level of ecological organization? The first one is at the organization level, organism level. You can see this one is a one organism. So combination of this one organism is going to form population. Population. And population of this organism plus population of another animal plus population of another animal is going to form the community. And that community will exist together to form a very large house, which is called ecosystem, which is called ecosystem. And this ecosystem will now combine different types of forest, mangrove, savanna, and all this one is going to form what is called biome. And biome is what is going to lead to biosphere. That is, I told you, the space where living organism reside. So the next thing is, I told you at the beginning of this lecture that one of the main objective of this lecture is to be able to differentiate between what is biotic and abiotic factors in the environment. In the environment, what constitutes the environment are just two different components. These include biotic factors as well as abiotic factor. From the word bio, bio means life, tic, that is living organism and non-living organism. And biotic, living component, for example, plants, could be animals, it could be fungi, it could be microorganism. Then when you are talking of abiotic, that is non-living factors such as sunlight, temperature, water, and soil. Okay, now what do we mean by the ecosystem? What do we mean if you say ecosystem? That is the study of the interaction of organisms. That is how organisms interact with their physical environment. That is called the ecosystem. And the component of the ecosystem are biotic and abiotic. And there are different types of ecosystem. The types include terrestrial. These terrestrial include the forests and deserts. Then the aquatic, which has to do with river and ocean. And you can see from this diagram that the forest ecosystem, then this is a water ecosystem. Okay, yeah. So the next thing is energy flow in the ecosystem. You need to understand how energy is flowing, how we normally flow in the ecosystem. So you can see energy will come from the sunlight, uh, and the sunlight will also produce energy that will be used by organisms. So by these herbivores, because herbivores they feed on plants, and the animal that feed on plants will now be eaten up by carnivores, and these carnivores will die and decompose, and the mushroom will grow. And it is this decomposer that herbicide will still, I mean herbivores will still feed on. So that is why the primary at the primary level, the plant and algae they constitute the primary level. Then the consumer level are, it could be herbivores, it could be carnivorous animal, it could be omnivores. Then the composer could be fungi, it could be bacteria. And what do we mean by food chain? That is linear flow of energy. It's called the food chain. And the food web, that is a complex energy interaction is called that. And the next thing is to consider how nutrients are recycled. That is there are three basic types of nutrients that must be continuously recycled. Water must be recycled, the carbon must be recycled, as well as nitrogen must also be recycled. Water can be recycled through the process called evaporation, condensation, or precipitation, whereas carbon can be recycled as a result of the process called photosynthesis, uh, respiration, and decomposition, whereas nitrogen can now be recycled through nitrogen fixation, nitrification, and as well as denitrification. So now if you say ecological succession, what do we mean? Ecological succession is a gradual change in species composition. When you look at this, when you look at this one is a volcanic rock. This is a rock, and on that rock, you can see on that rock, mosses will grow. That is, all these lower plants will grow on it, and when it grows, this is going to be on grass. This is going to be on grass. Then the on grass shrubs will also grow there. Okay, the next one is human impact on ecology. Human impact on ecology, for example, the way human affect the ecosystem. Number one is through deforestation. When you see animal, when you see human, when you see animals, especially man, when you see them, um, when you see them felling or cutting down trees, that is a habitat loss. And also human activities also include pollution as a result of air pollution, water pollution, and soil pollution. Then this will often lead to climate change. As an environmental biologist or as an ecologist, you should be able to protect, you should know something about the climate change. That is how human activity affects the climate. Okay, then habitat destruction as a urbanization as well as a farming. So you can now see now that that's the reason, that is what we are trying to campaign, that all of you, you must plant a tree. You must plant a tree in, and not only plant it, you should make sure that the tree also survive. And that's the reason why every one of you, you are going to take part compulsorily. You are going to take part in gardening. So there are different types of plants that every one of you, you must plant. Not only plant, you must make it survive. Well, as I normally tell my students, that even if they are not going to survive, their trees or their plants will survive. And somebody that plants a tree is not even considering himself, the person is considering the next generation. So, and by planting tree, you are conserving the environment, and you are making the environment to be sustained, very safe environment, because plant is going to absorb a lot of poisonous chemicals, poisonous gases, and at the end of the day, it is going to lead to conservation and sustainability of the environment. Okay, and case study like this Serengeti, key species like lions, elephants, wild beasts. So these are key species in this Serengeti, that is the forest. Ecological roles, they play a very vital role in predator-prey dynamics, thereby recycling the nutrients. Then the next one is poaching. Challenges faced by this ecosystem is poaching, tourism, and as well as climate change. Summarily, in this lecture, we have been able to see that ecology is the study of life and its environment. Then we have also seen that the level of ecological levels include organism to biosphere. That is how life will start from one organism and is going to lead to biosphere. And whenever you talk of ecosystem is equal to biotic and abiotic factors, and how energy is being recycled, energy and nutrient cycles, as well as what are the we also made mention of human impact on the ecosystem. That is how has human activities, how has uh, that affected the ecosystem. And as a kind of interaction, quiz and interactive question. So you should be able to know differences between community and ecosystem. Then you should be able to name two abiotic factors, and what are the roles played by decomposers. What are the impacts of deforestation? Then example of succession, you should be able to give that. And these are the list of